What?
All right, guys, welcome back. We're now in game number 2 of DK versus TongFu here in the grand finals of the Razer Mini Madness. $500 on the line. Not something that we've talked about too much, but $500 on the line for this little 8-team single elimination tournament. And we saw a very convincing game number 1 here. DK with the all-out pushing strategy, winning in 18 minutes. An 18-minute GG coming out from TongFu. Of course, it is a best of 5. Welcome to game 2. I'm Zyori. With me once again is Kawa. Kawa, reflections from game 1, my man. That was crazy.
I know they just allowed ROTK in the bottom lane, just Undyne going absolutely crazy all out. He was allowed to do just pretty much whatever he wanted to. He was able to max out that tombstone extremely early, and the only thing that just prevented him from doing just so amazingly well was a single Tide Hunter. So that's just something that you don't really want to do. And really looking back at TongFu's lineup, they didn't really have a whole lot of defensive supports trying to help out against all of those pushes. I would have thought that they would have tried to do something, you know, a little bit to kind of circumvent that. Obviously the Tinker was banned in the last game, so really I would have said like a Venomancer, but they decided to go with How on that Dragon Knight. But really that's just kind of, you know, that's not really getting defensive at all to try and prevent any of the pushes that were going on. So it just kind of ended up blowing up in their face.
Absolutely. I think the ban on Tinker was kind of key there. We're actually going to see another ban on Tinker. Other than that, looking pretty standard. You see Naga and Lycan here to complement the Tinker from DK. And of course, Invoker Furion and Mr. Darkseer here, banned by TongFu. It was all pretty standard. We did see pretty similar bans in last game, actually. Almost strikingly similar to the last match, I guess. Chen first picked, yet again. It's a mirror matchup, man. Hopefully we don't see an exact repeat of game number 1, but we're off to a similar start.
Yeah, they were able to pick up the Rubik right now, so that's going to be really solid, as well as probably a Leshrac going to be coming up here for DK. We're talking about how Leshrac obviously just being so useful at all points in the game, so that's going to be really nice. But Rubik, a bit of a change here, so that's going to be really interesting to see here from DK. I want to see how they're going to be playing him in this particular matchup. If he's going to be going, if he's going to be going for the support Rubik, or rather the semi-carry in the middle. ROTK going to be extremely comfortable picking up Rubik for this particular match, so yeah, just something to look out for here.
Yes, definitely right. Rubik is actually been in this tournament. It started out, it seemed we saw a good bit of Rubik, and then he just got banned straight up because he was so annoying. And he's one of those heroes that it's not that he gets super out of control and takes over a game. He's just hard to deal with. He's just so annoying. You have to be very careful about how you use your skills and when, and not to let him not to hand over any of your big abilities. Because we certainly have seen team fights change based on what abilities Rubik has in store. So, always a scary hero.
Yeah, really unpredictable to deal with. So just a lot of Asian teams not really wanting to have him in lineups at all. So usually you'll see him banned, but DK going to be just taking advantage of that. And we have a lone druid in the game.
Yeah, interesting. We talked about that last match a little bit, saying as lone druid actually hasn't been picked up too much throughout this event. So to see him here is, well, just sort of interesting. I mean, does that give us any foresight into how DK may continue drafting here? You know, like why lone druid over a Beastmaster or something?
It's going to depend. DK really like having, well, I mean, in the past, Burning has been playing Lone Druid, so I'm pretty sure that's who's going to be picking him up. We might be seeing Rubik played as a support right now, but it's hard to say this early right now. We're going to have to look at who the next draft is going to be for DK, but really I'm pretty certain that he's going to be wanting to go into that safe lane, just try and get up that radiance as soon as possible so that he can just kind of keep that bear up, just take down towers pretty quickly. It's going to take a little bit longer though for him, a lot longer than say for instance TongFu's Chen that they've got, so really going to be trying to look for a couple more pushes, and they are actually going to get the Leshrac and a Morphling. So I believe here now, on the flip side, TongFu's got a little bit more of a push going on, but TK actually picking up the Enchantress, so she's going to be able to steal Chen's creeps just in case he's going to be trying to do any of that push really early. So DK right now, Ooh, this is actually looking pretty good for them.
Yeah,
So,
this is really smart drafting by DK. It seems they're just kind of a step ahead. Last game, they used the Chen against TongFu, and now they're thinking, you're not going to give us a taste of our own medicine. We're going to counter you. We're going to grab this Enchantress. You know, with that Enchantress pick, that means DK is going to have to be pretty aggressive because she's so good early on, but she falls off pretty quick. So I imagine DK is going to not only be countering Chen with that Enchantress, but stepping up their own aggression in this game as well.
for Enchantress, it's going to depend if she gets farmed enough, I should say. If she's going to get that Agnum Scepter really early, as
Yeah.
well as a mechanism with the Gwinsu. I wouldn't say that she falls off extremely quickly, but rather, actually, yeah, no, I wouldn't say that she falls off quickly at
You don't
all,
think so?
really.
Oh,
She's
okay.
going to be really, really
All
helpful,
right,
like at
my
all
bad.
points in the game, usually.
I was actually talking to someone about Enchantress. That's the only reason I brought that. I was just like, yes, Enchantress. I actually have a talking point. Somebody told me that yesterday about Enchantress.
No, it's okay, man.
Maybe we were talking pub scene. I don't know. Maybe I misinterpreted, so my mistake. I withdraw the statement about set aggression regarding Enchantress. Regardless, it's going to be an interesting pick. And really, we haven't seen Enchantress. I think we saw her once in this tournament thus far. So I'm looking forward to seeing more Enchantress action. Both teams,
Definitely.
though, banning out pushes. We see Shadow Shaman and Broodmother, the next two bans here.
Yeah, with the Shadow Shaman, they really don't want to give a little bit of extra pushing to DK because that wouldn't be good at all with those wards going to be able to take down towers. And just as a support, going to be allowing Lone Druid to just kind of go on a rampage to pick up as much farm as possible. So really not going to be wanting to have him in there, as well as Broodmother for the split pushing that could possibly have happened for TongFu. That was actually a really good ban from DK because honestly, they really kind of want to focus, I believe, a lot of five-man Dota that's going to be happening probably around the mid game. Obviously, Lone Druid's still, like I said, going to want to try and get as much farm as possible so he can work up that Radiance. But still, just having a Broodmother in the game is really, really difficult to deal with, like at all points.
Yeah.
So, not wanting to deal with that at all.
Yeah, definitely right.
Pretty solid pickup.
And you can understand the ban on Shadow Shaman as well. He was one of the driving forces in last match for that super aggressive pushing. But wow, a Pugna ban coming out. That seems out of left field. Can you shed any light on the Pugna ban here?
That's an interesting one, and yeah, usually you don't see a whole lot of bans at all. I'm not sure what they were thinking with trying to ban him out right now. Obviously, with the Nether Ward, with the Nether Ward and the Decrepify, they don't want to try and take Morphling out in those right-click fights. I would believe that's pretty much all I could muster of an analysis for that one because he hasn't been a whole lot useful in a lot of competitive games because really when you have a Pugna, usually what he'll do is go middle, and even then he's not really going to be able to
He ain't no
win
invoker.
that mid. Yeah. It's like he's so squishy for one. The range on him for using his spells is very, very short. So he puts himself in a very precarious position. So he's going to be able to get picked off like immediately. So it's just something that if you don't have a really useful Pugna early on, he just kind of becomes a paperweight. So that's just my take on why Pugna. I just don't know why they would ban him for this one in particular. Rubik obviously for like his spells that he's going to be stealing and using, and possibly, you know, what they're going to be bringing up for possible future drafts here from TongFu. But other than that, that's all I've got to offer, honestly. And they pick up the Tide.
Yeah, the Tide Hunter going to complement their lineup pretty nicely here. Enigma has made it through, though, and I imagine DK is at least considering snagging an Enigma, but that does leave for some interesting lanes, so yeah, perhaps not three. That would be sort of interesting. Three heroes that could jungle if need be. It's not out of the realm of reason. Venomancer are going to be picked up. You know, I'm just sorry to be hung up on this Pugna pick, but
yeah,
I just can't imagine DK would have picked him to counter Morphling. I mean, I see where you're going with that, and it makes sense, but from the TongFu perspective, I mean, seeing a ban on Enigma or something just seems like it would make so much more sense here, or
exactly.
even Windrunner, any of these. Venomancer, whoever DK picks up here probably would have been a safer ban. But yeah, I mean,
we could probably look at the chat here to see, like, you know, take some of their insight as to why they would probably be thinking that. But that's just my 2 cents so far. And honestly, now we have that Tide Hunter on TongFu once again. I really hope he's not going to be up in the suicide alone once again, going up against, for instance, Lone Druid. But now we see Brewmaster.
Uh-oh. And that was, I don't know how we both kind of spaced on, oh yeah, Brewmaster's left in the pool, but no surprise there. He is damn strong. He's going to fit into this roster very nicely. He's going to be there kind of Well, he is going to be their carry, and I think that's going to work pretty nicely.
What's really great was that last pickup for TongFu with the Windrunner. She's going to be able to do lots of really clutch shackle shots on Burning's Lone Druid. If she's able to get the proper angle, she's going to be able to just latch onto the bear and the hero and just kind of render them kind of useless for a couple of seconds. So that's usually why we see that. We're going to be seeing him most likely going to be playing in that suicide lane to try and deal with Lone Druid, which I believe is going to be going long lane for DK here on the Radiant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Definitely. So, loading in ever so slowly here. Looks like Hal is taking his sweet time on that Morphling. Ah, there we go. Whoops, daisy. Okie doke. So, welcome to game number 2, ladies and gentlemen. Again, to reiterate, this is a best of 5 series. We are currently in game number 2. DK up 1-0. Actually, my apologies for not having a scoreboard up here. That's something we need to implement for future casts, I think, because oh, it's just nice for new people as they come in. Anyway, that aside, let's go ahead and introduce these teams. We have TongFu here on the Radiant. Awoke going to be in charge of Chen. Hao going to be playing Morphling. Kaboo on that Tidehunter. Mu going to be playing the Leshrac. And Wayne, the Caboose here. San Sheng on the Windrunner.
And on DK here, up in the top lane, we have Long DD as the Enchantress. Super going to be playing that Brewmaster inside of the center lane. Zippo on that Venomancer. ROTK playing the Rubik. And finally, we have Burning here on the Lone Druid. And in terms of that scoreboard, actually, if you look in the center of the top, you can see that there's a little proc right there. That is actually the scoreboard. So that is in favor of DK.
I never noticed that. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow. It's so tiny. That needs to be bigger. I never would have noticed that, I don't think, if you didn't point that out. That's incredible.
They just did it, yeah. With the recent patch, they just implemented it. So.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, wow, I can't believe no one's ever pointed that out. Okay, that's really cool. I really like that. Awesome. Well, there you go. Dota, you're a step ahead. I love that. When, you know, Dota's a step ahead. Gives me hope. Gives me hope for the future. So anyway, yeah. Great. I lost my train of thought. I got so excited about the scoreboard. I totally lost my train of thought. That's really cool. I love it. I really do. So how are these lanes going to settle down here? We see kind of everybody all clumped up, kind of venturing about. Quite a few. We got Chen down here who's going to be in the jungle, of course. Enchantress by Long DD will be jungling. And how are these long lanes shaping up? Looks like down in the bottom we're going to have Mu and Kaboo. Tidehunter, Leshrac going up against... is that a Suicide Rubik?
Suicide Rubik. Possibly,
yeah,
yes.
It looks like it. That's interesting. I don't know that we've seen a Suicide Rubik yet. He's been much more popular in that tri-lane.
Yeah, this is interesting. So I guess ROTK right now is going to be playing more of a support here for Rubik, whereas we see Burning inside the middle lane going up against Hao's Morphling. So yeah, this is kind of just swapped around a little bit. I was thinking that ROTK was going to kind of want to go with that semi-carry role. That would have been pretty nice to see, but it just looks like he didn't really want to go for that there. So just going to be stacking. Yep. Stacking those Ancients.
Yep, you're going to be playing that super defensive long lane. We do have Windrunner, again, playing Suicide for our Radiant team. Zippo doing what Zippo does best, just being that annoying lane presence, throwing down the nice aggressive lane ward, and he is keeping Windrunner at bay. So sort of a rinse and repeat from top lane, except we have Venomancer instead of Shadow Shaman like we saw last time. Super going to be able to pick up a lot of farm on this Brewmaster, which is very scary. That's one thing I like about DK's lanes here, is they have Burning and Super both farming pretty nicely at the moment. And they'll both kind of carry hard. San Sheng, pardon me, going to be in some trouble. He's going to try and pour it out, and I think he's going to make it. No stuns between these two heroes, so nice heads-up play, despite getting caught in kind of an awkward place. That's an expensive trip back to the well.
That's something to point out, too, because on DK right now they have, like, one... I guess you could call it a stun. The telekinesis of Rubik right here is pretty much all they've got to rely on. So kiting early on is going to be really easy for TongFu to be able to deal with here. They're going to be able to just TP out of, precarious situations. You've got obviously Leshrac with his stun. You've got Tidehunter's Ravage, the Shackle. We're going to be seeing creeps from Chen. Like they've got a little bit more lockdown here on TongFu.
A lot more. I think it's safe to say a lot more, and that's definitely scary. But on the flip side, they're at a little bit of a carry disadvantage. They've got the lone Morphling is going up against a solo lone Druid right here. He's not playing Suicide, but actually picking up some solid farm in the mid. Actually tied for first here with 16 creep kills, as well as the Brewmaster, who's Well, nipping at his heels here with about 14. So we'll see. I mean, so what? That said, what does that mean for TongFu to be successful in this game? I mean, they don't need to win this one. They still have a chance to bring it back if DK gets up 2-0. But I think statistically speaking, once you're down 2-0 in a best of 5, your chances of coming back are pretty slim. So
It's pretty much what DK did last game, which is to be as aggressive as possible, just to harass and take down towers as quickly as you possibly can. They've got the Leshrac and Chen. I mean, you definitely have the possibility of trying to do that. Inside the middle lane right now, Hao doing a very aggressive waveform onto Burning, very close to actually taking out that bear, which would have kind of rendered Lone Druid a little bit defensive. He would have had to activate another summon for the Spirit Bear. And up in the top lane, looks like Sanshen's kind of getting picked off.
Yeah, he's going to be in a little bit of trouble. He was in a really weird spot, tucked in the trees, trying to get some experience, and trying to leave the trees, just really working against him. Long DD going to be able to pick up the first blood on that Enchantress. Small misplay there from Sanshen is going to cost him his life and his team a first blood. So we'll see him port back right away. And he may find himself in a bit of a sticky wicket yet again. We see his tower taking some pressure. Zippo coming around from behind. And oh no, this could be very bad for Sanshen if he goes back-to-back deaths, especially after porting. I don't think he's going to be able to survive this. Nope, that's going to be the end of it. Zippo
And in the bottom lane, man, tier 1 went down.
Oh, wow, yeah, all the while that tower fell, and ROTK is going to be able to survive. They're not going to die further, but wow. A lot of pushing starting, so you're exactly right, man. That's what they need to take this, that super aggressive pushing. Lesh and Chen already off to a good start.
Seriously, they could probably go for this tier 2 right now, and I do believe that they should be doing that relatively soon. ROTK is not really going to be able to do anything about it, unfortunately. So I guess they're just going to kind of work their way back inside the jungle. Awoke, actually losing a couple of his creeps, so yeah, he's going to have to kind of come back here. Take one more creep after he's snagging this Wildkin, so pretty good stuff so far from them, and then they're just going to work their way back once again. Moo actually picking up some arcane boots, which is going to be really, really good for this next oncoming push.
Yep, absolutely right. In the mid lane, Hao, oh man, I think that actually could have been a kill for Burning potentially. He did get a root onto Hao, and he's down to about 130 health. He's going to have to run back to the well, I think, or run a push. He's going to have to do something, and yeah, he's going to actually buy his bottle. So there you go. But Burning having a hell of a time here in the mid lane, really pulling ahead against this Morphling 25-9 up against the 17-5 Hao. So that's certainly good news for Team DK and Burning. And we'll see. I think this may be one of these games where DK will actually pose a defense at this tier 2 tower in the long lane once it gets pressured. If they had done one push straight through, I don't know that would have been the case, but I think now that they've taken enough time, DK will be comfortable enough.
Look at the stack creeps right there. They're actually farming up right there with the Chen creep.
Yeah, the tornado.
With the tornado. That is so good. Oh my god, I did not catch that until just now. Really great stuff here from TongFu being able to pick up that, just give them a little more of that level advantage.
Level 6 now, yeah.
Yeah, that is phenomenal.
And that is always huge for pushing now. Of course, that ultimate heals up the creep, so that's going to make this pushing power that much more scary. And they're just going to go for it, man. They're going to push this lane. They've got, what do we have here? A Centaur as well as the Wildkin Warchief. And Moo with that Edict, as you were talking about, it is sitting level 3. Going to go level 3 Split Earth. Kind of the classic Lesh build. For what we were seeing, Leshes go for that Lightning Storm early in this tournament, but that doesn't seem to be the case now. Hold that thought, though, as ROTK. He walks into the danger zone, man. That is no good. Just going to walk right into the pain train. He's going to fall, and I think that's going to be the end of this tier 2 tower. All the while on the top, though, San Shang. For some reason, dyslexia is really set in with that name. San Shang is going to get taken out again. Long DD going to be able to pick up that kill. Fort going to be used by the Dire. That's going to delay the inevitable on this tier 2. The glyph makes me think they may pour it in. Nope, just going to let it go down. No deny attempt. They're just going to go for a tier 2, tier 1 exchange as they push the top tier 1.
Yeah, a bit of a trade there, so that's going to work out for DK a little bit at least, because they kind of have a little bit of a disadvantage going on right here. So after that, though, oh, looks like ROTK actually under a little bit of pressure. There goes the, oh no, the telekinesis going up by ROTK at the last minute, but the Edict's just going to clean that up. Yep. And actually, you brought something up recently. They're kind of diving up in the top lane. I really want to talk about that Leshrac thing that you'd mentioned with the lightning, but just so much pressure here from DK up in the top lane.
On both sides. This is a weird parallel pushing where it's a 3v1 in the two lanes, and both long lanes are getting completely obliterated. We see Rubik's 0-2 and Windrunner's 0-3, and those are the only kills that have come out in this game so far. Windrunner going to be in a little more trouble. He's just going to be able to windrun to safety. But really strange how both teams just seem satisfied with this kind of sacrificing their suicides for one another. And if we look at the gold graph, it's actually relatively even. We see the Radiant ahead by about 750 or so, but I guess they have an okay lead here, ahead by about 15k experience, or 1500 experience, pardon me. But yeah, interesting nonetheless.
Yeah, the Leshrac build that you were mentioning earlier, with how we've been seeing, or how we will see Leshrac go for Lightning, that's usually done a lot by Asian teams, and usually when you go for that, it kind of depends on either the team lineup that they're going to be going up against, and basically if you're going to want to play safe. Right now, Leshrac is actually in a great position to play aggressive, so just having extra damage from the Diabolic Edict is going to be great. Usually you'll see the Lightning if he's going to want to keep distance between him and just some of the heroes that are going to be able to do a ton of damage, but he was pretty much in like a tri-lane there, so really there was nothing wrong with picking up that Edict.
Yep, absolutely. Completely agree with you there. How gonna get a little aggressive in the mid, burning, not gonna get any lucky entangling claws or any of that bear root coming out. Could have potentially done a little bit of damage, but nope, not gonna happen. So there it is, DK Super. He's gonna pick up the Blink Dagger about 9 minutes in here. That is absolutely huge. This is the biggest fear, and up against a Brew. Look at that farm, Brewmaster and Lone Druid leading the way in farm. That is so scary. Yeah, Rubik gonna get taken out again here, but wow. Blink Dagger already on Brewmaster.
That he does? Wait, I didn't look. I was watching at the team fight down there.
Oh, yeah, Brewmaster. He's got his Arcane Boots and a Blink Dagger now in 9 minutes.
Wow, that's really good. 64 and 16.
Exactly,
so, yeah, being able to pick that up so early is going to be really, really nice in the oncoming team fights that are going to be kind of presented to him. Honestly, they're really going to be looking to kind of push here from TongFu continuously in other lanes, I believe. Now that Kabu was able to pick up that Ravage from going solo in the bottom lane, it's pretty much going to be looking pretty solid for them there in that regard. So hopefully we're going to be seeing a bit of a shift into the middle lane here. Possibly the top lane is kind of going to depend where they're going to want to shift to try and push in those next oncoming towers.
Exactly, and you know, this little lead that TongFu picked up is quickly diminishing. It's now a very even game. It just makes me so nervous to see both Lone Druid and the Brewmaster, the #1 farmers in this game. Although we may see Burning potentially in a little bit of trouble. We see How with an Invisibility Rune active. He's going to be a little bit aggressive here, but the rest of DK is going to come in. They're going to try to make something happen. The Ravage from Kabu going to come out, and they may be able to turn this around. The ultimate from Chen as well. That's going to help things quite a bit. We see the Wisps here for Long DD trying to heal up the team, and it looks like Venomancer are going to be the first to fall. How using that Invisibility Rune very nice. A nice power shot going to connect with quite a few creeps in there. And we'll see. Looking like Venomancer may be the only death in this engage as DK starts to back up a little bit. This is kind of an awkward fight. DK looking like they had a huge advantage, and all of a sudden TongFu just appeared. And, well, they were able to turn it around. Nicely done by Morphling right there. They're going to try and pressure this Tier 1 tower. We'll see what DK does. I'm fairly confident they're going to continue forcing this fight, at least try and pose some sort of a defense at this tower. But it may just be delaying the inevitable. No glyph going to be up, so the best they can hope for now is a deny. And nope, not going to happen. Morphling going to be able to pick up that last hit. We're going to see Long DD in a little bit of trouble. He's going to be caught in a bad position. Yeah, down he goes. Windrunner going to pick up that last hit with a nice power shot. And that'll be it. So all things considered, a 2-for-0 exchange, and the Tier 1 tower goes down, of course, in favor of TongFu.
TongFu going to continue to pressure this Tier 2 tower now, and that was a beautiful Ravage earlier by Kabu, just kind of bringing it all together. A 5-man Ravage that he's able to pick off. There's just nothing DK can do against this Tier 2 push now, and I believe they're going to start shifting up into the top lane right after this one, but still, we've got Gush going on to Super. Got some more damage coming up from Zippo and ROTK, and Kabu caught out of position.
Yep. And beautiful timing on this push for TongFu as well. Now about 11 minutes in, Super's picked up the Blink Dagger, but this is the point where, yeah, he's got Blink, but he still can't do much in the face of a 5-man pushing team. You know, just as I was commenting, well, yeah, these carries are looking a little bit scary. TongFu groups up, they win a team fight and get a tower to spare. Super going to go in here. He may be overcommitting a little bit. Kabu going to get slowed as well. In comes Morphling. That's going to finish off Brewmaster, but Veno is able to pick off Tide. Now Zippo going to be in a little trouble. He does get the ultimate off before he goes down. It's going to connect with quite a few members of TongFu. A nice Veno ulti, unfortunately, just no follow-up damage here as he doesn't have any teammates in the vicinity. So a noble effort that is going to force TongFu back a little bit. And is that a mech already? It certainly is a mech in the inventory of Chen. That's going to top off the team a little bit. And as you mentioned, it looks like they're just going to rotate top, slow down Burning, and hopefully pick off another Tier 1 tower.
Awoke, one of the best Chen players in Asia right now. Now they got that mechanism up. He's going to be able to just continue this crazy amount of pressure. The pushing right now from TongFu is absolutely crazy right now. They're going to be looking to go for the top lane, and the only person kind of preventing them from doing that is Burning. So he's kind of going to run away now because honestly, he does not have enough. He does not have his Sacred Relic quite yet. He's got about 3K in the bank, but yeah, we're going to start seeing a little bit of a shift right now into the top lane, and that's going to allow Hao to just kind of farm in the bottom lane uncontested.
Yep. Exactly, and that's going to be good news for him. He needs to make back some of that farm because he really struggled in the mid against Lone Druid, kind of as you would expect, going against you have 2 units versus your 1 of Morphling. Sitting with only 55 creep kills, not quite where he wants to be, but the early pressuring here from the rest of his team has really made up for it. It looks like they are going to be able to get this tier 1 tower in the top. Long DD just kind of poking around, trying to maybe make something happen, but that's not looking so good. A couple of ports going to come in. It looks like they are going to pose a bit of a defense. And where are they going to go here? Brewmaster going to pop the ultimate. And it looks like they're going to be able to pick off Mu first. Perhaps Rubik going to come in. Kaboo going to be able to get that Ravage off before he goes down. And that's going to allow Mu to do a little bit more damage here. And let's see. Rubik barely going to be able to survive. He's going to move into the hills. And yeah, he's just going to come back. Throw that telekinesis on Awoke and smack him down. There's a little bit in your face. Bittersweet there for Awoke as he goes down. So that's going to be a 2-for-0. Actually, everyone on DK surviving. Unfortunately, though, they did not save the tower and did not get a deny either.
Yeah, they're actually able to take out tier 1 in the middle as well. They were just waiting patiently. They were able to take that out. And extra 2 players here on TongFu, so that's looking pretty solid for them. Inside the top lane, Long DD and Super kind of putting on pressure in the top lane continuously, keeping that pushed in at least. So they only have 1 tower left for them right now on DK, that tier 2 up top, so just trying to keep that lane pushed in. So it's tough right now when you're in DK's shoes, because really if they take out that final tier 2, I mean, you've pretty much lost most of the map control, and that's going to pretty much allow TongFu here to kind of within the next couple minutes probably take out a Roche and then just continue to try and take out a Rax.
Yeah, and that's certainly a good point. Though we have seen in the past teams start with this kind of momentum, take out all the outer towers, then get stuck up against that wall where they just can't break into the base, because defender's advantage is a very real thing, especially this early on. The short respawn timers make that very difficult. So there is inevitably going to be a point in this game coming up pretty quickly, actually, where TongFu is not going to be able to push the way they are now, and they're going to have to sit back and farm up a little bit, which isn't necessarily bad, but it is just a little bit scary again with Brewmaster and Lone Druid on the opposition.
Yeah, it's going to allow Hao to just get a little extra farm because, you know, you had mentioned what he was having to deal with inside the middle lane right there. So he's going to be able to pick up a couple more of those core items right now. He has the ultimate orb right now. Going to continue to work up that farm so that he can just finish that up and then kind of continue to be more of a presence in these team fights. So just pretty solid for them right now on TongFu.
Yep. Definitely right. I mean, Hao is in great shape, and if you look at that farm difference, he's actually coming back now within about 20 from Lone Druid, who's leading the way. The other scary thing as well, Burning, how are you doing on that Radiance? Let's see, he's got about 800 gold. Where's the bear? There he is. So he's got the relic, and he's a little more than halfway to the Radiance recipe himself, so he's in pretty good shape. Up in the top lane, looks like things could be heating up. Enchant can be used on Kaboo right there, and nope, nothing going to come of it. Get a nice 3v4 here up in the top while Lone Druid pushes in the bottom. So this could be a pretty solid fight for DK, even if they can just delay them a little bit. And by burning a little more time, they can make this, at the very least, a tier 2 for tier 2 tower exchange.
And I hope they continue to push this up right now. They have Awoke here with an illusion rune, so he's just going to kind of send that around. They're just waiting patiently, and that's going to allow more time for Burning to just continue to push in this bottom lane. So really, they're going to have to try and make a decision right here.
Yeah, well, we're going to see a ping come forward, and yeah, there's the illusion from Chen. Just going to scout it out, and yeah, there almost seems a little bit of indecision from TongFu here. They're still up in the jungle, moving around as a unit. They haven't quite got, well, they still have the 3 up there, and they have defended off bottom. Hao actually went down to push back the Lone Druid, but at the very least, Burning did get to pick up some nice farm while all that went about. So furthering their farm lead a little bit. Taking a look at the gold graph, DK actually ahead by a nice margin on the XP, but they're about break even on gold, which is surprising. Well, all right, I take that back. Actually, not surprising. They've done a good job pushing themselves. The tower difference is actually only within 1. Tier 2, or, well, all right, I'm all tongue-tied. 3 tier 2s remaining for the Radiant, 1 remaining for the Dire. My apologies. But a difference of 2 towers, and I'm surprised to see DK's actually ahead in gold despite being at a tower deficit. That's all that I was trying to say right there. But Leshrac picking up the Bloodstone 17 minutes in. That's a little bit scary as well.
Yeah, that's going to be great for him. They're just kind of working their way inside of the middle lane with a smoke right now. So I think they're
Oh,
going to be looking to
see.
try to take a gank right now to just make it a 4v5 and then go for a push here. They're pretty close to picking up Burning right there. And oh, they're going to get cut off right now. Zippo is
Uh-oh.
going to have to be really careful. The gush going on to him.
Yeah, Zippo knows he's dead. He's just going to turn and drop everything he can, and we'll see how low everyone gets. Brewmaster actually going to go straight in here. He's going to try to make something happen. Kaboo going to be in a little bit of trouble. Zippo managing to survive. Kaboo is still alive. San Shang going to shoot a power shot. He does get the Ravage off, but does go down. Hal going to come in. He's very low thanks to that Venomancer ultimate taking him down, and it looks like Hal may actually fall. Yeah, they're gonna have enough damage to take him out. Looks like DK gonna come out way ahead in this fight. Moose still alive, trying to do everything he can, but the Bloodstone's just not gonna be enough. Double kill coming out now from Venomancer. Awoke on the defensive, and I think he's gonna go down. The Radiance is now on the Barry. That's gonna be enough to finish him off. That's gonna be a 2-for-4 exchange when it's all said and done. Looks like Windrunner is gonna be able to port out and make it back to the base. So San Shang, the only survivor. What a team fight for DK. I don't know how Zippo survived. I sort of wrote him off as dead at the beginning of that fight, and he, well, was able to survive, and I think his ultimate actually is what helped turn that fight for DK.
Yeah, and Tidehunter right there, Kaboo, getting caught off in like a really awkward position.
Yeah.
I mean, he just kept taking so much damage. It was looking like he wasn't even going to be able to pick up that Ravage at the last minute. He was trying to get away, but Leshrac actually kind of blocked him. Leshrac playing by Moo, actually. He was trying to like work his way past that little point inside the jungle, but just didn't work out. So he was taken out, unfortunately, forcing the Ravage and kind of not one of the best positions. Honestly, it was only able to hit on, I think it was only one hero, and then, you know, the summons of Brewmaster, so not really the ideal situation to be in. So that's just kind of too bad, because positionally TongFu just wasn't in a great spot right there.
Yeah, you know, like I said during that fight, at least Kaboo got the Ravage off, but it's always disappointing when you see a Tide sort of forced to throw that Ravage. It's sort of like, oh, quick, just use this cooldown because I don't want to, you know, ruin this fight without using it. But it's so much more powerful when you can get in a good position and catch a 5-man Ravage, as we saw earlier. So that was part of the reason as well. Venomancer, man, just not an ultimate that's very easy to underestimate, I think, because it doesn't do any burst damage. And all of a sudden I looked at Morphling and I was just like, wait a second, that was all Venomancer. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Holy Toledo, Zippo. Whew.
Exactly. So now Hao continuing to farm inside the top. He's very close to getting that Lincoln Sphere first, so that's going to be very nice on him for these upcoming team fights that are inevitable. It's going to be a great pickup for him. Inside the center lane, we have Kaboo and Sang Sheng just doing a little more damage onto ROTK. He's going to steal the power shot, so just going to be waiting patiently until Kaboo gets that Ravage in the next 10 seconds, and then they're probably going to be trying to make something happen. Inside the bottom lane, meanwhile, Moo is actually getting cut off by Super and Long DD, but he's going to be able to get away because, like I said before, there are just like no stuns.
Yeah, a good play there for Lesh to get out, but I guess a pretty standard play in the realm of pros. But yeah, we talked about that earlier on. Just no stunts, no way to interrupt those ports, and that is just a bit of a hard counter to DK's lineup in general right now. Unfortunate as that is. Hao going to be up in this top lane though. He's going to be in kind of an odd position. He's going to get caught by the telekinesis, and unfortunately, there's just not going to be enough follow-up snare to take him out. Still has plenty of strength to morph anyhow, so he will be able to survive despite being in a very forward position. Lone Druid, though, man, he's got that Radiance. He's had it for some while, as we saw in that last fight. He's got another 600 in the bank. He's finished up his Tranquil Boots. I don't know, man. 130 CS. He is still leading the way with flying colors, and I think it's just going to get worse as he continues to farm with the Radiance and abuse with that bear.
Yeah, it's looking like, even though that TongFu was able to take out all those early towers, just allowing Burning here to get all of that extra farm now that he has the Radiance on the Spirit Bear. If he's able to get some more of that core items, for instance, the Assault Cuirass on the Bear, it's going to like just start becoming even more difficult for TongFu here to try and take out this final tier 2 and just even a Rax. So really, it's kind of looking like TongFu are a little bit on the clock right now. They had a great early game. As long as Hao is going to be able to get a couple more of his core items, he's going to be able to get that Lincoln Sphere, but man, he really needs that shotgun, I feel.
Yeah, and that was one of the points I sort of wanted to bring up when you mentioned he's close to Lincoln's, and I was like, interesting. The Morphlings we've been seeing have been going much more aggressive early. It's actually been kind of rare to see a Lincoln's first in the bit we've seen Morphling. I was sort of surprised at that. I mean, it makes me feel just a little bit like TongFu is going to be just too passive coming up here. And You know, sort of as we were mentioning maybe 5, 6, 7 minutes ago, there's going to be a time where TongFu's not going to be able to push as aggressively as they were, and they've hit that wall. They still have this. They are still yet to take out that last remaining Tier 2 tower, and I fear this loss of momentum is really going to start to catch up with them as things continue.
Yeah, and Super's going to be able to get his core items. Long DD obviously going to be getting that ag. So is Super. That's what I wanted to point out. But we see the mechanism from Rubik. We have the standard support items. ROTK now looking like with DK going to try and pressure up this tier 2 tower. So now they're going to be going on the offensive. Zippo with a gem. Let's see how this is going to go here.
Yeah, and also a force staff there on to Rubik. I'm not sure when he picked it up, but always a big item choice that we see pretty commonly here. The tower just going to take some harassment. The bear out in front. This is exactly why Spirit Bear is so irritating. Of course, Lone Druid will be able to just pop out another one, and there it is. Oh, man, a full health Spirit Bear. Super going to go straight in, though. There's the ultimate, and that's going to force back San Sheng. Looks like the glyph going to be used to delay the inevitable. That's going to delay the pushing just by a couple seconds here. Tide going to get caught. And are they going to be able to follow up? No, looks like they're actually going to play this a bit more defensively. Not going to overcommit. Looks like they got wind of How over there by the side thanks to the Venomancer ward. Or the Plague ward, if you will. And that's going to be the end of the push. It's going to take that tier 2 tower and head for home.
I would agree with that. I definitely
same.
wouldn't want to like press the advantage, but rather just kind of play really aggressive DK here, just
no
kind of
need.
being. Yeah, no. When you're in this kind of a lead now, they feel really comfortable now about how they can start forcing team fights, how they can actually win with these pushes now that they've got just a lot of their core items on their heroes. So really going to be looking solid there. And I believe we're going to be seeing, probably next here, most likely a Roshan kill, and so that's going to allow them to take out a tier 2.
Yeah, and that's a good thing to point. Roche is going to become a focal point of this game, no doubt. The timing, who knows, but I would imagine in the relative future, both teams actually have wards in that general vicinity, not quite in the Roche pit, but in that area. So we've seen before, teams like this that kind of rely on pushing here, sort of similar to what TongFu has going on in this game. The Aegis can be that turning point, which really allows them to get back into the game. So we'll see. I'm sure more focus will come around the Roche pit pretty quickly. We see Zippo clearing out a double stack, or maybe it was a triple stack. At least a double stack now with those Plague wards. Picking up a nice little bit of additional farm. He's picked up a gem as well. I think you mentioned that.
Yeah, for Zippo.
And,
he's going to be able to pick that up.
Okay. Oh, God. Morphling keeping me on my toes in the top lane. He had to replicate down to the bottom. I was like, oh, what's he? Okay. Phew. So I thought Hal was just caught in a bad position, so he's going to join the team down here at the bottom. TongFu completely grouped up, though. All 5 of them moving around the jungle. There it is. Yeah, they're going to use the smoke. They're trying to make something happen. Are they just going to smoke into the Roche pit? And it looks like it. Sneaky, sneaky plays. A little bit risky here, but I think a warranted risk at this point. They need to get back in this game, and an Aegis is the way to do it. Going to see a ping come down. And
that's really risky when they don't have a whole lot of vision here. They've got the ward right there. That's a little bit lower, but
Plague
yeah,
ward. If we take a look at the vision here, oh, actually, he didn't throw the ward in close enough. I don't think they actually have sight of it. Oh my gosh.
No, they don't actually.
Wow.
So,
all right, never mind.
They got away with it.
Yeah, they should not have been able to get away with that. Venomancer right there actually had the foresight to throw down the Plague ward, but just didn't put it in far enough. That is really, a little bit of a small play from Zippo, but yeah,
unfortunate to say the least.
Yeah, unfortunate to say the least. That's a great way to put it. And who ended up with the Aegis here? Let's see. All right, in the hands of Morphling. Oh, duh. It's no big surprise. We'll see how pick it up. So he's got his Lincolns now, another 1,800 in the bank. So I don't know. This Morphling all of a sudden is looking pretty damn scary. Let me pull up the GPMs here and just see where he fares. He's just barely below 400 GPM, only second to that of Lone Druid. So how his I don't want to say make a recovery, because that implies his early game was worse than it actually was, but he's picked up this farm quite a bit.
Yeah, we see, looks like Waveform was on ROTK going to walk away with that one. He's just going to continue just morph around, not morph, but rather replicate around the map here. He's going to be continuing to jungle, just getting some more of those items, more and more. Actually looking at the item tab, I just want to double check to see if they were able to pick up the core items on DK, if they were able to pick up the Ag Scepter on Brew. They did. So that's going to be really great. And then also for the Enchantress, still doesn't really have that Agnum Scepter on her, so maybe just going to be waiting a little bit on that before they try and make something happen.
Yeah, that's a good point. And she's probably about halfway there, so maybe a little bit less. So could be worse. She's going to go... Oh, actually, has 2 of the pieces. She has the Ogre Club and the Blade of Alacracy, so she's actually pretty damn close now.
Yeah.
Just about 900 off or so. Just a little bit of farming, and I think you're right. That might be a timing window that they're going to wait to hit. take some of that tilt from their core items and then put the pressure on. Yasha now picked up by Morphling, so not going to be doing that shotgun build that we've been seeing ever so much.
Oh yeah, he's going to be getting the Manta style, so that's going to be really good for him in particular. And it looks like DK actually going to be going inside of the middle here. Everyone's starting to converge. This is kind of going to determine how the rest of this is going to pan out. I mean, they do have a huge advantage here for TongFu to be defensive already. That was a very, very nice shackle.
Yeah, absolutely right. That's what you were talking about with the bear. You can set stuff up with the proper angles, and it looks like there's going to be a mighty defense from TongFu. They're actually going to repel the push. There is Venomancer ult going to be used kind of in tandem with the Ravage. Venomancer going to fall very quickly, unfortunately, but getting that ult off is what's important. The fight continuing here, and it looks like a fairly even damage exchange. A lot of healing and damage coming out across both sides, and actually just pretty damn chaotic in general. We're going to see a kill there onto Leshrac. They're going to be able to turn this around. ROTK going to be able to survive. Beautiful positioning, pulling him back, and that will secure a victory for DK, it looks like here. Sen Shang getting dangerously low. Just in a wind wall. That's not going to be enough. How now in a little bit of trouble. He's getting dangerously low. The bear out in the front. They're going to catch some roots onto a Woke. Beautiful timing on that. A little bit of lucky RNG. Can never rub you the wrong way. It's going to be a 1-for-3 exchange, and yeah, that tier 2 tower is certainly going to fall. They may be able to even pressure this tier 3 where any buybacks used that I missed, not that I can see. Glyph going to be used here, and that's going to slow down this pushing, but I don't know that Tide and Morphling will have enough to truly repel.
Yeah, they don't have enough gold.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Lesh did. Alright, Lesh just going to pop back up here. The tier 3 is going to fall. Beautiful team fight from DK.
Oh, we've got a buyback now for Windrunner.
And are they going to be able to turn this? Morphling now getting aggressive. Long DD taking a lot of damage. There's the shackle, and that's going to be the end of her. Morphling going to be the one to pick up the kill. Now we see Mu on the aggressive, going to try and harass down Burning. ROTK very low also. He's going to head for the hills. And yeah, I don't think Lesh is going to be able to finish anybody off. So I guess it could have been worse for TongFu. They kept their racks alive, but losing 2 towers in that team fight. If we glance at the gold chart now, yeah, a nice 5k gold lead in favor of DK.
Yeah, that's a pretty large dip. So honestly, looking very convincing after that team fight. DK's gonna just probably try and focus another team fight here. Did they actually pop the Aegis there? Yes, it was so. Probably if they wanted to go for it once again, they could probably force another team fight and probably take out a Rex. Though the bottom is still a nice little focal point, they may want to try and take that out as well. Just kind of focus that down. Really, it's kind of up to DK now what they're going to be wanting to do. Zippo looking to try and get a pipe here, so maybe he's going to want to wait to try and get that one. We're going to be seeing for TongFu here, yeah, they're going to be at least waiting for that Ravage to go up for Kabu. And honestly, in that last team fight, that wasn't the best of Ravages, honestly. He was only able to catch, I believe, 1 or 2 of the heroes, I believe, in that little engagement. He was pretty far back, honestly. A lot of the heroes on DK were kind of further away. So really, I would be thinking Tide here is going to be getting that Blink Dagger, which is going to allow him to try and get in a way better position. And yeah, he's about 200 gold away from getting it.
Yep, exactly. He's pretty close, and that should help a little. I mean, Tide did have a notably slow start, so we'll see. Zippo, man, so far in this game, it seems that he's really been the driving force, at least in the last couple team fights we've seen. He's been able to get that ultimate off despite dying. Every time, it just does so much damage. He's gotten it off, and if it connects with 3 or 4 heroes, it's just so much dot damage that comes out. And again, that was kind of the key in that last fight. So keep a close eye on Zippo, as you mentioned. He's going to be working towards that pipe, and always a powerful item pickup there as well.
Yeah, especially going against the Leshrac, the Edict, the Ultimate. That's going to be actually not the Edict, but rather the ultimate of his, because Edict is actually the composite damage. So
yep, and Rubik here has he's got Pulse Nova right now. That's what he has stolen.
Oh wow. Okay, yeah, I was gonna say that's not good.
Yeah, that's a little scary. He's actually pretty close to his BKB also. He's got the Ogre Club and the Mithril Hammer here, so he's going to be well on his way. And I think that makes sense given he's already got the mech and the Force Staff. It makes perfect sense in this game, in my opinion.
It looks like they're forcing the tier 2 right now. Are they going to be able to take this? We got the Replicate stolen here. Oh, the root going down onto the Brewmaster Replicate, so...
Yep, and this is the last remaining tier 2 tower for TongFu, and I don't think they're going to be able to defend it too easily. The glyph going to be down for quite some while here, and just this bear doing so much damage. The bear now has an Assault Kurios as well. I don't think we mentioned that. You mentioned it earlier, and that's going to help in this team fight so much. Zippo going to be able to get that Venomancer ulti off. That's going to be the end of Chen. That is a nice pick right there. Of all the heroes to take out first, Chen is one of them. I don't believe he even got the ultimate off. No, he didn't. That is really going to be rough for the rest of this fight. How going to go up? Maybe a little bit too far forward. No, if he's going to be able to back up. Again, he does not have the Aegis. It was burned in that last fight. Very important to remember. Mu going to go way too far forward. He's going to get caught in that telekinesis. He's actually surviving a lot longer than I thought he would. But in the end, he is going to go down. It's not going to be enough. He doesn't pick up a kill of his own. He's going to buy back right away, though, and try and get back into this fight. Kabu going to catch a nice Ravage, going to connect with almost all the way a 4 or 5 hero ultimate there. Kabu now going to fall super in a little bit of trouble. He's going to go toe-to-toe with Mu. He's just bought back, but Mu's going to fall. That's going to be a convincing team fight in favor of DK. Triple kill now coming out for Lone Druid. They're going to get that tier 3 tower now. Hao going to overcommit, trying to be that noble defender. It's not going to be enough. Enchantress going to be one to grab back kill. Now Sen Shen on the run. He's going to Windrunner away. Are they going to have enough to finish him? No, going to dodge that one last auto attack. Chen's now popped up from the beginning of this engage. He's got everything up. He's got the mech. He's got the ult, but that's about it. Impetuous, not gonna be enough to finish him, but yeah, it's looking pretty convincing for DK here, man. The bottom lane of Rack's gonna fall. Looks like mid gonna fall shortly after.
Wow, that's, yeah, 2 sets of racks is not looking good here for TongFu. It's looked like DK now in a very convincing lead. It's going to be very difficult for them to try and even stay alive after they try and pressure this tier 3 in top. Are they going to continue this one?
I don't know. That is pretty risky. I mean, at this point, they're so far ahead, they can back up. Yeah, they are going to. Okay, phew. It looked like for a second they were going to commit to that top tier 3. BKB now picked up by the Brewmaster. Going to make things that much more difficult for TongFu now.
This is tough. It's 33 minutes in. You've lost 2 sets of racks. This is pretty much going to force TongFu to kind of do an all-in.
Yeah. Kind of an all-in, last-ditch effort. If it doesn't work, GG, move into a game number 3. So that's really where they're at. As we've said in previous casts, 1 lane of racks, it's going to be difficult, but you still have a chance. 2 lanes of racks down. That's tricky. That's
especially when it's a little bit. Well, it's a little bit later. It's when you get around. I would say around the 40-minute mark. If you lose 2 sets, I mean, you got a chance. You're not like completely down and out, but you know, it's still like 6 minutes before that. So it's
It's just hard to defend now. They either have to take a team fight in their base, or they have to have someone defending and kind of engage with only 4 of their team. And the other issue is, well, even if they kind of break even in a team fight, defend this last lane of racks, their ability to counter push after a big team fight is just so diminished at this point. Lone Druid is just kind of taken over. He's the only one above 200 creep kills now. Morphling actually sitting at 199. But that Lone Druid, man, he's 5-0-5. Best record in the game. And yeah, it shows. He's pretty freaking farmed.
Yeah, now that he also has the Assault Cuirass, it's just kind of starting to melt everything right now on Radiant Team. There, the ultimate popped up for Brewmaster. He's going to be trying to go for a beautiful Ravage, though. He was able to hit almost every single hero by Kabu, so he's going to have to just move his way back. Ultimate for Veno.
Yep, and it's looking like a favorable team fight for DK, though. They just have too much sustain. Kabu going to fall. Yep. And yeah, they're going to be able to back up a little bit. Mu actually doing a huge amount of damage to ROTK here. He's got the Pulse Nova on as well. They were Pulse Novaing each other. Mu, though, going to get caught by the telekinesis, and he's going to go down. Or is that? Yeah, okay, yeah, it's a Cyclone. Down he goes. Does somebody have a Yules? It looked a little bit different.
No, that is the Spirit Bear. Or not the Spirit Bear, but rather the ultimate from Brewmaster.
Oh, okay, sorry. I thought that was a telekinesis. It doesn't look like telekinesis. Okay, so there it is. But regardless, GG going to come out. A convincing team fight for DK is going to be enough to end this game. So, wow, man. DK up 2-0 in this best of 5 series. TongFu, they need to pull out the pocket aces here. Whatever tricks they have up their sleeve, now may be a time to execute them if they want to come back in this series.
Yeah, that was a great game from DK. What looked like very bleak early on because TongFu were doing what they were supposed to. They were doing all that pressure early on. They're taking out those towers just ever so patient. They just waited for the peak of their team lineup on DK, and they were just able to punish TongFu and continue to win team fights over and over again. That just allowed them to win this one. So now that game 3 is coming up here, yeah, they're really going to need to try and bring it back. Otherwise, they are going to be victorious here on DK for this tournament.
Absolutely right. Yeah, so sit tight, guys. We're going to have Game 3 of this Best of 5 coming. Again, welcome, or thank you for watching the grand finals here of the Razer Mini Madness. Big shout out to Razer for making this tournament happen. If you want to check out the brackets, head over to itsgosu.com. And if you go to that Dota 2 section, you'll see the event on the side panel, and you can check out the brackets and any other information you will want to know about said Mini Madness. So sit tight, guys. Another game coming up in just a couple minutes.